At Sunrise, the news with Gary Liberatore.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Monday morning. Eric, it seemed like my car door wanted to fly off when I opened it up here on the hill.
Yeah, you're not even joking, Gary. And we're talking 20-plus mile-per-hour winds early today. A bit blustery out there, and some lake effect we're tracking too. Let's take a look at what's going on the radar right now. First off, we begin with a look at the larger scale side of things. Here is a broad view of the radar from, say, up to Old Forge all the way down to even Ithaca, where some heavier snow showers are taking place down there. But let's zoom in here. The snowfall taking place in this narrow band in southern Herkimer and Oneida counties. It's more of a sleety type snow. There are some flakes trying to accumulate on bridges and other non-asphalt surfaces. Again, bridges and other surfaces do tend to see snowfall accumulate a lot easier than, again, of course, asphalt. But either way, we look at the traffic flow right now in our traffic tracker. We got some slowdowns here and there, but in terms of any major impacts this morning, don't expect a whole lot. In fact, besides isolated lake effect this morning, we do dry up this afternoon. Pretty quiet weather-wise. Tomorrow morning, we're tracking widespread snow. I'm not thinking this will be as impactful as what we saw on Black Friday with those potential whiteouts and heavy snow. This will not be anything of the sort. A typical late fall, early winter snow system moving in. And then following that Tuesday evening, snow begins to end. And we're going to dive into that timing-wise, snowfall totals and whatnot coming up in a few minutes. But again, today, that lake effect gradually ends. Temperatures in the 20s, wind chills obviously much cooler. We'll dive into that snowfall forecast and a potential near or below zero day coming up later on this week in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Video of a...
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back. Happy December 1st, everybody. And after I would say, quieter weekend and a not so quiet Black Friday, things are starting to quiet down temporarily, but there's more snow on the way. First, let's take a look at what you can expect heading out the door in your forecast in a minute. Shout out to Remington Federal Credit Union, welcoming our sponsor of this segment here this morning. We take a look right now at the current conditions. 32 degrees with a windy start to the day today. 22 mile-per-hour winds. Definitely one of those blustery days out there today. Sunrise 7:16, the sunset sitting at 4:31 this evening, and again, we're entering the darkest days of the year, entering the second half of December, coming up in a couple of weeks. A live look at current cameras on the Mesnet. You have a few snow showers reported south of the Mohawk Valley mainly. There's a narrow band north here, south of Boonville. But you can see here the most notable band is passing through Hamilton right now in Madison County, and then a very narrow band passing the Thruway and the Route 5 area in southern Oneida County. In fact, you can see this right here, the effects of that heading to Paris Hill and eventually into southern Herkimer County. But either way, today, that lake effect will gradually wind down. Widespread snow expected tomorrow, and then we do quiet down again on Wednesday. But we're going to dive into this snowfall tomorrow. We'll have the latest updates from the data that just came in this morning about the snowfall potential, loose accumulations, and the arrival time straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. We've all seen those bell ringers out.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy December 1st. We begin today with some minor lake effect coming off of Lake Ontario, producing some minor impacts in some area roadways. Let's take a look right now at our traffic tracker. Some very isolated slowdowns here. See the yellow spots? Now, in a situation where roads were really bad, of course, we see a lot more oranges and reds, but you can see here a few slowdowns along 12B and 12, and so far none along Route 5 or the Thruway. Again, the elevations are lower enough where the temperatures are hovering right around freezing. So you have more of a sleety type snow here. But there's that lake effect band that's being transposed on this traffic track, as you kind of see where that snow band is moving through. In fact, some slowdowns along Route 51 heading into Herkimer County with the same story here. And we have very narrow bands, only a few miles across. So, for example, downtown Utica, dry, no snowfall right now. You head south of New Hartford toward Paris. That's you really start to see some of that snow coming down too. Same thing in Hamilton right now, and then of course heading farther south toward Ithaca. Even a narrow band here toward Remsen, but it is falling below the radar scans right now. Let's zoom in right now currently to that snowfall taking place south of Kirkland. Again along 12B heading down into southern Oneida County, Jordanville, Columbia, north of Springfield and Route 20. Is where that snow band is currently right there. And then finally heading into the southern valleys, Edmiston, south of Hartwick, heading along Route 205, closer to Oneonta, also seeing some of that snowfall. Now this is a temporary situation. That lake effect will wind down throughout the morning. But our next weather maker right here, look at this, nor'easter moving along the coast. And the latest updates have much of that heavy snowfall staying south and east of us. But what I will say this, the bust potential of this system is on the lower side. What I mean by that is we're expected to remain below freezing for this entire event. So we're not expecting any rain to mix in here. So basically it's a matter of upsloping and higher elevation, seeing some of that heavier snowfall getting dumped down right here. And so you can see the overall snowfall map relatively consistent with our thoughts last night. We downgraded between 3 to 5 down to, or 3 to 4 down to 2 to 5. And as you can see here, much of the lower elevations staying in the light blue area at 2 to 5 inches, 5 to 8 in the hilltops north of the Mohawk Valley. So on our Skycast, timing this out quickly here, we have that snowfall ending this morning. Clouds will increase tomorrow morning as well. And you can see that snowfall arriving in the morning hours, heaviest around the afternoon. And then as you progress into the evening, snowfall ends, a few clouds linger, and things dry up. 7-day forecast. Again, the impact timing of Tuesday's snowfall, mainly in the morning and early afternoon. Following that, our next notable system takes place on Thursday. Not really the snowfall that's a concern. Look at the temperature, near or below zero. So stay tuned throughout the week as we talk more about that upcoming cold air moving in.
Good morning once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore. Get ready to hold on to your hat this morning. Eric, those winds are pretty strong right now.
Yeah, that's right. And also being carried by those strong winds are some lake effect snow showers. Pretty evident here on the radar. Let's dive into what you can expect heading out the door today. We begin with a look at some snow bands passing mainly south of the Mohawk Valley early this morning. Another snow band passing through Madison County near Hamilton, and a very narrow band south of Boonville heading toward Remsen in that area north of the Mohawk Valley. So a few narrow bands we're tracking, but in between them, it is a quiet, snow-free, but blustery morning. In fact, we can zoom in here, see again that snow band passing just north of Paris, right in between New Hartford and Clinton. And then, of course, heading farther south, heading toward Brookfield. And south of that, some of that snowfall still lingering on. So roadways this morning, those higher elevations south of the Mohawk Valley might have some slowdowns here and there from that snowfall. But again, it's more of a sleety type snow. Plus, behind me, you can see the temperatures, which are hovering right around the freezing point. So it might be more of an icy snow type mixture. Either way, the snowfall will end this morning. We expect a dry and no impact afternoon here. But tomorrow morning, widespread snow moves in. This impact will linger for much of the day, and then by the evening hours, conditions will improve. So again, we have that widespread snow arriving tomorrow. We'll have the latest details from the new data that came in this morning on that snowfall expected. But again, today, expect a cool down. Temperatures falling into the 20s, wind chills even cooler. We have that snowfall potential and a near zero night coming up later this week. All those details straight ahead. Gary.
Eric, thanks. Both the House and Senate have...
Channel 2 is brought to you by Holland Farms Bakery and Deli. This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise, everybody, on this December 1st. Our photo of the day takes us to New Hartford of a great shot of a snow-covered church, St. Margaret's right here, sent in by Judith. Shout out to Judith, and of course, those of you watching from New Hartford this morning. And what a scene of snowfall for a lot of the area. Our first true impactful snow event of the season, with maybe even more to come as we head toward the middle of the week. And so again, amazing photo right here. And speaking of snowfall, how about this? We have the latest numbers from the snowfall totals here so far across Utica. Season snowfall total so far sitting at 18.9 inches. Now, hear me out here. Anytime we mention snowfall totals throughout the entire season, there are always some questions about how is it measured. Well, keep in mind, Utica is a large area, despite it being a small city comparative to the rest of New York State. But either way, it is measured at a certain point in Utica. South Utica saw more snow throughout the lake effect snow event. North Utica saw less. This is the middle ground right here. Either way, we're 10 inches above average so far for this time of year. And again, we have more snow on the way as we head into the daytime hours tomorrow. We're going to dive into that coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. A group in Massachusetts is working to close the opportunity.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Happy December 1st, everybody. Today we are tracking some minor lake effect snow bands impacting a few isolated spots today. Let's dive into the roadways this morning, see how things shape up as you head out back to work after a pretty eventful Thanksgiving break with some pretty heavy snow in some parts of our area. I see some of the yellows here, some slowdowns, mainly in the hilltops south of Utica. Not a major one. In fact, you can transpose that lake effect snow band over this here too. Maybe parts of Route 5, 12B, 12. But either way, the snowfall depends on location, whether you're going to see a little bit of it this morning. In fact, you can see that band heading into the Route 20 corridor through northern Otsego County here. And then another band heading into central Otsego County here in southern Madison County. Let's zoom in. So again, the snow band currently this morning near Franklin Springs, near Vernon, Paris itself, along Route 8 heading south toward Columbia, north of Springfield and Jordanville. Then a heavier band passing through Edmiston right now, Route 51, closer to Milford, south of Hartwick along Route 205, closer to Oneonta. This snow will end throughout the morning as we get more of a westerly wind, and then here comes the arrival of some notable snow showers for your Tuesday. Now, we see this nor'easter moving its way in, the heaviest snow taking place right here along this line. But when it comes to snowfall accumulations, I will say there is a low chance of a bust, meaning no snow at all. The reason for that, we are comfortably below freezing. So there's no mixing taking place, there's no sleet, there's no rain or freezing rain that might dampen these totals here. We're thinking initially a 2 to 5 inch range in the light blue, 5 to 8 in the dark blue. We might extend or move these zones a little bit, but the general idea is here. It's an all-day event. It's not happening in the matter of a couple of hours. This is nothing like what we saw on Friday. So impacts not nearly as high, but still, anytime we see snowfall this time of year, there will be some travel impacts. So just make sure you're weather aware throughout the day tomorrow. So let's time out the arrival of that snow. So this afternoon and this evening, it's dry, temperatures in the teens. Tomorrow morning, 24 degrees of temperature. Snow showers working their way between 5 and 6 a.m. That's when that snow begins to start, and it progresses throughout the morning. The heaviest snow will take place in the early afternoon, mainly again closer to I-88 in Otsego County. And then that snow will exit by the evening. A few lingering flurries with cloudy skies will persist into Tuesday night. So that's the timing of the snow. And again, the thoughts of the snowfall accumulation still on the lower side. And then as we head throughout the week, 29 the high Thursday, a low of 0, potentially some spots below 0 Thursday as a huge blast of cold air works in, and then we're back into the 30s by the weekend.
And thank you for joining us. And on this Monday, it is quite windy out there. Meteorologist Eric Gage over in the Weather Center. And Eric, as I mentioned earlier, my door just flung wide open up here on the hill this morning.
Even driving into work today, I mean, my car was, swishing and swashing back and forth. And you get that when you have 20-plus mile-an-hour winds. So, yes, it is a bit blustery out there today. We're also looking at some lake effect snow. Let's take a look at the radar right now and see how things are shaping up. First off, a look at the larger scale side of things. We have a few bands we're looking at here, mainly coming off of Lake Ontario. We have one narrow band south of Syracuse heading into Madison County and Otsego County, north corner portion of Chenango County too. Another band in southern Oneida and Herkimer County, and then one moving through the Remsen area north of the valley here too. I want to focus more on this one here too, because this one is impacting the largest area, the thruway heading toward Vernon, heading toward Paris, and eventually farther south, north of Springfield, in this little zone right here. So if you head south, Route 51, Route 28 in Herkimer County, or 12B, 12 in Oneida County, you might encounter some of those slowdowns here. In fact, you can see some of the slowdowns in these yellow spots. It's not very high. It's not a major impact, but there's a few areas where that snow is accumulating, mainly on bridges and non-asphalt surfaces. But you can see here, the lake effect does end as we head throughout the day today. Widespread snow develops Tuesday morning or tomorrow morning, and we'll dive into that, the timing and totals coming up in a few minutes. And then following that, snow begins to end Tuesday evening, and we will quiet down again on Wednesday. Today, it's blustery, it's cold, temperatures in the 20s. We're going to be following again that snowfall for tomorrow, a potential near zero night looking ahead to the middle of the week. And all the rest we're expecting throughout the rest of your first week of December, coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Video of a...
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Monday, December 1st. As we begin your day today, we'll have a look at what you can expect in your forecast in a minute. Welcoming your sponsor, Remington Federal Credit Union, to your forecast in a minute segment here. Every day here on Sunrise, 30 degrees, cloudy at Griffiths and Rome. But the winds still very strong. 22 miles an hour was this morning. We're down to 17 miles an hour. Either way, wind chill, frigid. Teens this morning. So you're going to want to bundle up with an extra layer heading out this morning. Sunrise 7:16, sunset at 4:31. Mesnet cameras reporting a few areas of snow showers. See it right here in Westmoreland, a few flurries. Osceola heading down toward Lawrence as well. In fact, we can see these snow bands here in the radar, mainly coming into southern Oneida, southern Herkimer County, and southern Madison County and central Otsego County. Some of these bands here this morning, you might run into them, but either way, especially in Oneida County, 12, 5, 12B, Route 8, you're going to encounter some of those snow showers early today. That snow will end. We are looking at widespread snowfall tomorrow and then drying up again on Wednesday. But either way, we're going to dive into the expected snowfall tomorrow. Our latest thoughts with the new data that just came in this morning. Timing, of course, all the things you need to know about tomorrow's snow event coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. We've all seen bell ringers outside of...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Monday morning, everybody. On this December 1st, we begin with a few lake effect snow bands to start your Monday. We take a look at the traffic tracker this morning, how traffic might be impacted by some of these snow bands, and it's not incredibly high. The snow isn't really sticking in a lot of spots, but Either way, it is still snowing. In fact, let's zoom in here, especially in this narrow corridor of Route 5, 12B, 12, and Route 8 here. In fact, let's transpose the lake effect band over top of these roadways. You can see, of course, the slowdowns heading even toward 51 and 28 in Herkimer County. We go to the radar here. There's a few bands. Again, this is on the weaker side here south of Utica. The stronger band is actually in Madison County along Route 20 heading toward Pompey. So if you're in that area right here or heading in that direction, you're going to be encountering some lake effect snowfall. Let's zoom in again in this snow band here, mainly impacting areas south of Franklin Springs or Clinton, Paris, heading to the south, or excuse me, into the east, south of Jordanville and Columbia, and then in Otsego County, now south of Edmiston, toward sections of Sherburne out in Shenango County, eventually toward Milford and Otsego County. Either way, this lake effect snow will end throughout the morning. Our next round of snow right here. Look at this. A nor'easter moves up the Atlantic coast. Now, when it comes to snowfall in our area, you can see here the brunt of the heaviest of snow, mainly along this line, staying south of us. But when it comes to snowfall accumulations, a few things I want to share with you guys this morning. So this is our snowfall forecast throughout the day Tuesday. Not a whole lot of snow, but keep in mind, for one, this is not a system with a huge bust potential, meaning we are staying below freezing for the entire event. We're not expecting rain or sleet to mix in. This will be an entirely snow event here. And this will last pretty much all morning throughout the entire afternoon, drying up by the evening. But you can see here, hilltops in Otsego County, 5 to 8 inches, 2 to 5 in the light blue zones. You might tweak a few things here and there, but the general idea is that. This is not a major impact event. This is a typical late fall, early winter type snow system, but just a heads up that this could still impact travel throughout the day tomorrow. Tuesday, we begin with that snowfall in the morning hours. Again, there's not a whole lot of snow on the ground at 6 a.m., but as we progress throughout the afternoon, the heaviest snow takes place around noontime, and then by 4 or 5 o'clock, that snow is already exited and we continue to dry up. So that's the time frame again. So the late morning, early afternoon is likely when we're going to see the most amount of snow falling in some parts of the area. Then following that, we dry up again on Wednesday. Thursday, some lingering snow showers. Thursday night, keep that in mind here. We have a low of 0 degrees. There is a plunge in the jet stream, a huge cool down. Back up into the 20s again on Friday. But either way, we have some notable things taking place this week in terms of weather, Gary. Welcome to December.
Get those batteries ready for that.
Yes.
Eric, thanks. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, our social media handle. And once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour on this Monday morning. If you're getting ready to head out this morning, you better hold on to your hat. Eric, those winds are pretty strong.
Yes, very strong winds this morning, Gary. And on top of that, we have some lake effect snow to deal with, too. Let's dive into it here on the radar. First off, we can see, of course, this northwesterly wind here producing some blustery conditions, and, of course, some of these snow bands primarily in Madison County, in Otsego County, then southern Oneida, in the corner of Herkimer County, part of Route 20 right there toward Richfield Springs. Let's zoom in here. In fact, the impacts mainly along, say, sections of Route 12B and 12, maybe Route 8 here too, but that snow band is a lot weaker heading down in that direction here. Either way, when it comes to roadways this morning, a few minor slowdowns, some outlying areas. Of course, the main roads and the lower elevations are clear for your morning commutes. As you progress throughout the day today, the lake effect will wind down. It'll be a quiet evening commute and pretty quiet late evening and overnight. But by tomorrow, we're looking at the arrival of widespread snowfall that'll come from a nor'easter. But we're not going to see the brunt of it. But will we see anything notable? We'll dive into that snowfall forecast coming up in a few minutes. But again, by Tuesday evening, the snowfall already starting to taper off. Again, we'll talk about those impacts in a lot more detail hour by hour coming up shortly. But again, today we're seeing highs approaching near 30, about as high as we get today. Wind chills obviously much cooler. We have a look at those temperatures throughout the week and the snowfall potential throughout the next few days coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Both the House and Senate have...
Welcome back on this Monday morning to News Channel 2 at sunrise. Our photo of the day here takes us to New Hartford. Shout out to those of you watching from New Hartford this morning. And it's a great photo of the snowfall at St. Margaret's sent in by Judith. Great shot right here of all that snow. And if you have a photo like this you'd like to share with us, send it to WKTV.com/weather/pics. On top of that, too, if you guys have any photos of your Christmas decorations, or for example, your Christmas lights outside your houses and whatnot, if you ever send those in too, I want to see what you guys have in terms of decorations, showcasing some of the great displays here across the Mohawk Valley. But speaking of snowfall, let's talk about that season snowfall here across the area. And especially in Utica, where we keep our official measurements here, we report 18.9 inches to date. This is the last we measured around, in fact, last night. And that took about 10.6 inches above average. Our normal this time of year, 8.3 inches to date. So you can see here quite a difference already. We are still well ahead of the normal average. Will we see any more notable snowfall in the short term? We're going to dive into that Tuesday snowfall forecast coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. A group in Massachusetts is...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning on this December 1st. Happy Monday. We begin with at least a few lake effect snow bands. Let's take a look right now at the traffic tracker, see how roads are shaping up this morning. And I do want to focus more on the spots here south of the Mohawk Valley, 12B, 12, and Route 8 here. If we transpose the lake effect snow over top of this, you can really see where the areas are starting to slow down. Now, this is not anything like what we saw on Friday, but there could be some snow starting to accumulate in some of these roadways, less traveled roads as well, in some of those higher elevations down below Utica. We look at the Yorkville Battery Live radar. Again, there's that snow falling right now, not nearly as heavy as earlier this morning. There is a more notable band passing into Madison County along Route 20 in the southwestern portion of the county there. And then, of course, extending all the way down into Otsego County. Let's zoom in, though. You can see that band sweeping more south of Clinton and Paris. Same thing. Now that band is south of Route 20, below 167 right there, and then eventually again to the south near Sherburne. Parts of, in fact, south of Edmiston toward Morris, and eventually Route 205 south of Hartwick toward Oneonta. But that lake effect will end throughout the day today as that wind direction shifts more to a westerly direction. And then as we head into tomorrow morning, you can see here widespread snow moving in the form of a nor'easter. This will produce heavy snow mainly along this zone right here. But when it comes to snowfall here locally, this is our secondary thoughts. We put our initial thoughts out last night. We modified a couple of things, brought this down to 2 to 5. It was 3 to 5, but I figure there could be a bit less in terms of these lower elevations here. But what I can tell you right now, this is a very low chance of a bust. Bust meaning no snow at all, because we are going to be entirely below freezing for this entire snow event. Mixing line stays well south of us. It all depends on the amount of upsloping taking place, especially in some of these higher elevations and these snowfall rates. Now, in a lot of some of these spots here with snow already on the ground, it's very easy for snow to accumulate even more. So I would lean more toward the higher side of that 2 to 5 inch range, 5 to 8 in the blue. Now, this is not all falling at once. This is a typical late fall, early winter time setup here. And when you see this moving in around 6 a.m. Tuesday morning, there's not a lot of snow already in the roadway. So the early morning hours, snow is just starting. Snow really begins to stick by the late morning, early afternoon, with that heaviest snow taking place at this time right here. Then as we progress toward the evening, the snowfall will taper off and cloudy skies work in. So when it comes to impacts, I'm thinking the late morning, early afternoon has the highest chance of impacting travel Tuesday. Then as we head to the evening, again, it does dry up. Thursday, another shot of some snow showers. More importantly, though, Thursday night, we're looking at a low of 0 degrees. It'll be incredibly cold overnight and then returning back into the 20s again by Friday. We'll be right back. Some snowfall on the way as we head into, say, tonight through tomorrow. In fact, mainly tomorrow. Let's dive into the details, though. So again, currently right now it's a bit windy. Wind chills 17, 20 degrees across the air. We still have some lingering lake effect, but that's not the snow we're talking about right now. This is really unimpactful, and of course, throughout the next few hours, it will continue to fizzle out. The main story is the widespread snow we are expecting, again, arriving tonight through much of tomorrow. In fact, let's talk about travel impacts. So, this evening, it's dry, no impacts expected. Tomorrow morning, snow begins to start right around the early commute time. I don't think there'll be that high of impacts as, again, the snow just starts. But I think the highest chance of any impacts will be in the afternoon hours. And this is not a blockbuster event here. We're looking at moderate snowfall, a typical late fall, early winter system. And again, we'll dive into the details here coming up in a few minutes. Following that, though, the snow begins to end in the evening, and we do dry up again. So the next 12 hours, you can see here, we go from the 20s down into the teens tonight with mostly cloudy skies. And again, that snowfall starting to arrive in the early morning hours tomorrow. We're going to dive into that latest snowfall forecast. We keep looking at the latest data coming in hour by hour, and we'll, of course, provide you any updates we have, again, coming up in our full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. With the cold weather.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon, everybody, on this December 1st. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving weekend with lots of food and with friends and family. Either way, today we're back to the grind and back to the now official holiday season here. Currently outside right now, the temperature 27, northwest wind of 10 miles an hour. It feels frigid out there. It feels like 17 degrees with that wind. So you're going to want to make sure you have extra layers on if you haven't already left today. And if you have, well, maybe grab that extra coat you have in the back of your car that you forgot about. Either way, radar showing a few spotty snow showers. We saw it on the tower cam moments ago, mainly to our south. This band is going to sweep its way north, a few spotty flurries as this lake effect continues to fall apart. In fact, we're expecting a pretty quiet evening and overnight. However, as we head into tomorrow, especially early tomorrow morning here, between 4 and 6 a.m., snow begins to move in, and it will be on the lighter side initially. But watch as this nor'easter moves up the coast. Notice the heaviest of snow staying well south of us at this point. There's been no major changes to our snowfall forecast as that system continues to move its way through the northeast, eventually exiting central New York. Our thoughts really haven't changed too much compared to last night. We changed numbers around a little bit. Don't expect any major changes right now with our official forecast. 2 to 5 inches in the light blue, 5 to 8 inches in the dark blue. A few things with the system. For one, very low bust potential. We are entirely below freezing for this entire event, so don't expect some places to see no snow at all. I'm thinking more in the high end of this 2 to 5 inch range here with a lot of the area. And then secondly, this system is going to move its way through from the south to the north throughout the entire day. This is going to be a longer duration event all of Tuesday. So don't expect all this to fall at once, meaning this is not a high impact system. There will be travel impacts, but for any of you who have snow tires, all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, you have to get somewhere, it's not going to impact your travel all too much unless you live in outlying areas where that snow will accumulate and the roads can't get plowed in a timely manner. I'm thinking main roads will be obviously treated and plowed relatively frequently enough to where this travel won't be nearly as bad, especially along the thruway. Obviously some trouble spots heading down the Mohawk Valley toward the Albany area, but again, with all the crews out, I think this will not be a very high impact event here locally. So you can see here, 6 a.m., the snow is pretty widespread. The heaviest snow falls in the early afternoon Tuesday. You can see here, 12 p.m., heaviest snow. As quickly as it arrives, it'll leave. By 5 p.m. onwards, that snow is now gone. A few lingering flurries and temperatures quickly fall into the low 20s. Then it looks pretty quiet heading into Wednesday. Thursday, a cold front moves in, bringing a few rounds of snow showers. More importantly, it's the effect of that cold front. A high of 29 Thursday, a low of 0. We have a pretty cold air mass moving its way in, so we've got a pretty busy stretch of weather here the next few days. Again, nothing alarming, no alert day type scenarios here, but still, just make sure you're weather aware, especially tomorrow with the snowfall moving in pretty much all day long, and mid-afternoon again, the highest impact timing of that.
Yeah, that big 0 is a big alert.
Oh, yeah, I will say this, it's going to be very cold. Maybe bring in an extra layer heading into work that day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Eric, thanks. Well, some travelers from Tel Aviv. Well, once again, meteorologist Eric Gage is tracking the weather for us over in the Weather Center. And Eric, I know we've said it before, but more snow on the way.
Yes, more snow on the way. We still some lingering lake effect right now, not really that impactful, but yes, more impactful snow would be on the way as we head into tomorrow. The current wind chills right now still very chilly, 17 degrees in Rome, 23 down in Hamilton, 11 up in Saranac Lake, so still one of those chilly early December days out there today. And some lingering lake effect, which again is slowly beginning to weaken and eventually drying up as you progress throughout the evening hours. In the meantime, while weather's starting to quiet down, let's talk about what you can expect for December on average. So our normal high the first of the month, 39, normal low 26. By the end of the month, 30 degrees, average low 16. When it comes to daylight hours, this is where things get interesting, because I mentioned last month we lost a lot of daylight. This month, we're still losing daylight, but notice here, the sunset time is going to start getting later in the day. Yes, the winter solstice happens, of course, obviously the first day of winter. Following that, the days will get longer. Now, the sunrises, though, still are going to be later and later, but we only lose 10 minutes of daylight. One of the perks of having being in the darkest time of the year is that there's really not much more daylight you can lose. Following this month, of course, we're going to start to see those numbers climb again. Again, back to those impacts. Today, it's dry. Snow starts again tomorrow morning. Widespread snow tomorrow afternoon, and that snow will inevitably end by Tuesday evening. We'll, of course, dive into the latest snowfall forecast, more timing impacts hour by hour, and all the details you need to know if you're traveling anywhere tomorrow. But again, today, we're in the 20s, down into the teens tonight, cloudy skies. We'll have the details on the upcoming snowfall, as well as a major cool down on the way later on this week, straight ahead. Gary.
Eric, thanks. Utica police have...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon on this December 1st. We begin today, or at least this afternoon, with some peaks of sunshine and some lingering lake effect, which will continue to wind down throughout the day. Currently, the conditions right now at Griffiths and Rome, 27 wind chill. Very frigid out there. Wind speeds in the northwest, 10 miles an hour. Feels like 17 balmy degrees out there today. Welcome to December, everybody. This is definitely a feeling that we have more than missed. Those of you who remember how warm and dry the summertime was, well, this is a callback to the typical weather we see this time of year. Live radar showing some lingering lake effects slowly ending here to our northwest. And following that, our next weather maker we've been talking about for the past few days has been that nor'easter moving up the Atlantic coast. You can see it starting to arrive around 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Your morning commute might have some minor impacts, but the highest impact timing will be in the early afternoon as the brunt of this nor'easter moves along the coast here. Now, I will say this, a couple of things. For one, the heaviest of snowfall right north of that mixing line, staying mainly south of our area. So we're not going to see the heavy snowfall. But secondly, because we are still well north of that mixing line, we are expecting an all-snow event, which has low bust potential. In basic terms, we're not going to see any rain or sleet mix in with this, which are the main factors in having a snowfall like this bust in a situation. So our confidence is higher here. We have 2 to 5 inches in the light blue. We might tweak it an inch or two. I'm thinking, though, more on the higher side of this, maybe bumping back up to 3 to 6 inches. Either way, this is a steady all-day-long snow event, so I do think the main roads and the lower elevations will be plowed, treated enough to where commuting wouldn't be that bad. It's the outlying areas tomorrow that might have a concern for travel. And again, all this takes place throughout the day, ending as we head into the evening. In fact, let's time it out right here. So this is 5:30 tonight. It's dry. Overnight, also looking dry. Then tomorrow morning, 5, 6 a.m., that widespread snow moves in. It's light, moderate as you head farther south and east. And then it's going to be pretty moderate by the early afternoon here. Temperatures hovering in the upper 20s to low 30s. Then as we head into Tuesday evening, that snowfall begins to taper off, and we're going to see lingering flurries. For the most part, though, that snowfall is pretty much all but done. Then Wednesday's looking pretty quiet. Temperatures in the 20s, a few clouds lingering, and then a cold front begins to move in as we head into Thursday morning. You can see here some snow showers, high of 29. Look at that, though, a low of 0. It's a pretty massive cold front dragging in some very cold temperatures from the northwest. We'll, of course, talk about that, of course, following what we're currently focused on right now, which is that impactful snow tomorrow. And again, we're not looking at anything in terms of impacts like last Friday, where there were whiteouts and snow-covered roads that were almost impossible to drive on. This is more of a typical early December type snow event. So
a long event, though.
Yeah, so still just drive carefully, but this is not a blockbuster event.
Eric, thanks. Well, Pope Leo.
News with Kristen Copeland and Jason Powers.
The snow came early and heavy this winter season, and there's more on the way.
A winter weather advisory for tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis is tracking what we can expect from the Weather Center.
So a couple of new developments here to pass along. Number one, this looks like it's going to be a faster system. So this starts early, which means it's going to have a higher impact on the morning commute. But this also means it leaves early, so the evening commute is looking better. The overall trend, though, is about the same as it was earlier in terms of how much snowfall is going to occur. So live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Things look quiet. Current temperature 26 degrees. It's cold out there. Temperatures will bottom out in the low 20s tonight. This is a look at snowfall for tomorrow, and for most of us, it's 2 to 5 inches of snow region-wide. But again, remember that a lot of this happens in a relatively short period of time in the late morning. So even though it's not big blockbuster numbers here, don't dismiss this either. 5 to 8 inches possible for some of the higher terrain north of the Mohawk Valley. This evening, temperatures will be in the 20s. Again, snow arrives very early tomorrow, and again, it has an impact on the morning drive. We've got to look at that, along with some cold weather later this week. I've got to look at the forecast coming up. Kristen, back to you.
After a month-long delay because of the government shutdown, HEAP benefits are back.
Yeah, the program helps people heat their homes in the cold months. News Channel 2's Nolan Hyman reports on what to do to get assistance.
The Home Energy Assistance Program, or HEAP, helps low-income households pay their heating bill in the winter months. Benefits were supposed to open November 1st, but the shutdown delayed the program's funding.
And we've had more challenges with the federal budget and some of the delays in the funding.
So as of December 1st, they're back open and accepting applications. Eligibility requirements include household size and income.
Like a family of 4, the higher end would be $6,600 a month. That someone would be eligible for some of a benefit.
In the 23-24 HEAP season, they provided less than $8 million on benefits for 19,000 households.
Are you guys expecting more first-time applicants, or is it kind of?
It wouldn't surprise me given the cost of things, but it's hard to tell. You know, it depends on how the weather is too.
As you can probably tell, it's getting colder, which means that your home is using more energy to stay warm.
As the heating and electric and those type of costs have increased, I think people rely on it.
The program works to make sure people can afford a place to live.
We try to avoid evictions or to avoid if someone comes in with a disconnect, we try to assist them because you don't want people to end up without a residence, homeless.
And those already on SNAP might benefit too.
If people are currently on temporary assistance or they're receiving SNAP, there's an auto pay function where those people are automatically given the minimum benefit.
If you need help heating your home, you can visit the Department of Family and Community Services, or you can apply online at mybenefits.newyork.gov. Reporting from Utica, Nolan Hyman, News Channel 2.
Two former
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We are tracking the next weather maker that arrives late tonight, early tomorrow. It brings widespread snow. It has a high impact on the morning commute, but the evening commute should be a lot better. If you're driving out there this evening, the weather looks pretty quiet. We'll be getting a couple of flurries in the air from time to time, but these have not caused any problems. And we're looking at generally dry conditions tonight. This is a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It's cold out there. Temperatures are in the 20s. Dolgeville 25, Little Falls 26, Westernville 28. Across Southern Valley, it's Cooperstown 25, 21 in Oneonta, and Unadilla with 27. The next area of low pressure is going to fast approach from the west. This is going to develop as a nor'easter because it takes a track along the Atlantic coast. By the time it really gets its act together, though, it's going to be to our east, which means we are not going to take the brunt of the snow with this. We will get some snow, but it's not going to be the blockbuster type that we are very much familiar with nor'easters. And again, it's all about the direction that it's going as it's cutting across. With that being said, though, this is going to impact the morning commute, and I think in a relatively big way. In terms of the widespread nature of the snow and the fact that the snowfall will be coming down at about 1 inch per hour, which is about the threshold where it causes issues. It's not going to be treacherous driving, but it will be highly impacted throughout a good portion of the morning. The snow comes to an end in the afternoon. We do have a few flurries that linger into the evening, but the general idea is that things get better. So if you have any flexibility in your schedule tomorrow and you want to avoid this, wait until the afternoon time to get out and run your errands. Or better yet, in the evening time, because again, things will be getting easier throughout the day to travel. Storm Tracker 2 Skycast, clouds thicken up overnight. Again, it's cold. We'll briefly drop into the teens before the clouds kind of help keep it, cap the temperature. Snow begins between about 3 to 5 a.m., and it's steady. And when it does come in, it comes in a hurry. We're looking at widespread steady snowfall throughout the morning commute. Temperatures will be in the 20s at 8 a.m. Snow continues in the late morning, and it starts to cut out. So this is the scene at 1 o'clock. The snow starts to come to an end west of Utica, and by the afternoon time, things look a lot quieter. A couple of flurries linger into the evening, but in general, things do get better throughout the second half of the day. On Wednesday, it's cloudy and it's dry. Temperatures climb into the low 30s. A general 2 to 5 inches of snow is expected region-wide, with higher amounts along the higher terrain, lower amounts in the lower elevations. 5 to 8 inches of snowfall is possible along some of the higher terrain north of the Mohawk Valley, with more of a what we call an upslope component, where the wind moves over some of the higher elevations. And again, the general idea here, a lot of this falls in the morning, and this still has a pretty big impact on the morning commute. Snow develops late tonight, low temperature of 19, widespread snow in the morning, slowing down in the afternoon, a high of 30. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The next system we're watching arrives Thursday. This is an Arctic front, and so this is expected to bring wind, a burst of snow, possible snow squalls, and yeah, you can see that's not a typo. 5 below zero Thursday night.
I kind of wish it was. It's too early, man.
It's going to feel pretty nasty here early Friday morning, for sure. Yeah.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Well, nasty weather is causing more snow on the way. Be careful shoveling as well. The American Heart Association is reminding us about the risks. Moving snow can put extra stress on your heart, especially if you're not used to regular exercise. If you have known or suspected heart disease or even risk factors, get someone else to do the shoveling for you. Ideally, you want to push the snow, not lift the snow.
And if you're able to help out your elderly neighbors in need this winter season, call 50 Forward Mohawk Valley. The number is 315-235-2029. Volunteers are needed to shovel walkways, sidewalks, and stairs.
Let's get you back to Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis. What's new, Bill?
Yeah, we got more snow on the way. We're expecting about a general 2 to 5 inches of snow here as we head into tomorrow by the end of the day. For the city of Utica, we have 18.9 inches on the season since we began measuring earlier this month. Again, the last one produced almost a foot of snowfall, that last lake effect snow that happened on Friday. So we are way above average. The average for today's date is 8.3 inches. Remember, in a whole season, we get about 95 inches. At the current moment, we're 10 inches above average. We also have more snow in Utica than Syracuse, Binghamton, Albany, Buffalo. So we are leading the pack of New York cities here, at least so far. And we'll likely continue that after tomorrow with more snow on the way. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Things look quiet. The snow that does fall, the snow that's on the ground, it's going nowhere anytime soon as temperatures remain below freezing even during the days. This evening, it's pretty chilly out there. Temperatures will drop into the low 20s, mostly cloudy skies, but generally dry again. Watch your footing. There could be some patchy black ice out there. Tonight's featured dog, Scarlet from Fort Plain. If you want to be part of this, head to Skycast WKTV on Facebook. This is brought to you by Nissan. Jason, back to you.
The paw, just hanging out on the... December is filled with holidays and family traditions, but for some who've lost a...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Good evening. Pretty quiet but cold evening across central New York. We're tracking widespread snow that returns late tonight, and it's going to cause a few headaches for tomorrow morning's drive. This is a live look in Oneonta. Already down to 21 degrees. And a lot of places will briefly drop into the teens tonight. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. We saw a couple of flurries earlier today, but those have diminished, and we're looking at dry conditions tonight. Skywatchers checking in. It's pretty cold out there. Mica-Du Hartford 25, Barneveld 24, Cassville 23, Norway 25, Bill Old Forge 20 degrees, Ilion 27. Across Southern Valleys, Edmonston, Scott 29 degrees, Carroll and Worcester 26. An area of low pressure is quickly moving in from the west. This is going to cut across the country, the eastern half of the country, and develop into a nor'easter. Yes, this is a nor'easter because the center of the track goes right here, right into the Atlantic. And that makes it a nor'easter. A lot of times we think of these storms, we think blockbuster snow, feet of snow. When you have a track that's like this and just goes right across, it often doesn't stick around, and it's not here long enough to produce really heavy snowfall. But with that being said, it is still going to come down at a good clip, at about 1 inch per hour tomorrow morning. So I don't want to dismiss the impact that it has either, even if it's not going to be a blockbuster. It's still going to impact your morning drive. I think that's going to be the height of this during the morning time. In the afternoon, the snow slows down, and by the evening, it's pretty much done. There'll be a few flurries in the air, but should be a lot easier to get around later in the day. So if you have any flexibility with your schedule tomorrow, going out later is going to be easier than getting out and about earlier in the day. Storm Tracker 2 Skycast, cloudy skies tonight. Temperatures drop down into the teens. Snow begins between about 3 to 4 a.m. and it becomes widespread. So by 5 a.m., we're looking at widespread snow. So if you're trying to get an early start, you're going to have to get a really early start if you want to miss out on this. The snow is going to continue throughout the morning time. Again, peak snowfall rates close to 1 inch per hour. And then this will start to slow down and head to the east in the afternoon. And again, from start to finish, we're looking at about 12 hours worth of snowfall. And a lot of the time, it's not coming down all that hard. And we'll get a chance to dry out as we head into tomorrow night. The weather looks cloudy as we head into Wednesday and we get a break. For most of us, the snowfall is expected to accumulate between about 2 to 5 inches. The lower end and the lower spots, we're watching the possibility of some downsloping that could happen in the Mohawk Valley. That also means the hilltops north of the valley see more snow just because of this effect. Bottom line is this is enough to shovel. It's not going to be as heavy as many of us dealt with at the end of last week, especially across the Mohawk Valley. This snow again comes to an end in the afternoon. And we'll get a chance to dry out on Wednesday. Tonight, 19 for the overnight low. Snow develops late. Tomorrow, widespread snow in the morning. We'll dry out in the afternoon, 30 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Cloudy on Wednesday, 31. The next weather system arrives Thursday. This is an Arctic front. Burst of snow, possible snow squalls here. We'll keep an eye on that. And a big drop in the temperature. It's going to get cold Thursday night, below zero for the first time this season. Friday, sunshine 23. More snow chances as we head into the weekend. We'll be right back.
With Kristen Copeland and Jason Pallas.
Those stories in just a minute, but first, more snow is on the way for your Tuesday. It's going to affect tomorrow morning's commute.
Let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis, tracking it all, what we can expect at the Weather Center tonight.
Yeah, that's right. This is not a blockbuster, but this is going to have an impact on your morning drive. We're looking at widespread snow for the Tuesday morning commute. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It's quiet out there tonight. Temperatures are cooling off, 26 degrees. Feels like 21, a little bit of a wind out there, light breeze. Snowfall for tomorrow, for most of us, it's 2 to 5 inches of accumulation, but most of this comes down in the morning time. North of the Mohawk Valley, 5 to 8 inches of snow. And this is trending faster. They're looking at some of the newest data, which means it's going to start snowing before the morning commute, probably about 3 to 4 a.m. when it starts across all of central New York. And again, we're looking at some slippery spots early in the day. This also means it leaves earlier too, so the evening commute looks generally quiet. Cloudy skies this evening, temperatures in the 20s. We're tracking not only this snowfall, but also some very cold weather expected later this week. I've got to look at the forecast coming out. Kristen, back to you.
HEAP benefits were delayed for about now, but as of today, they are back.
And with the program back, it can get back to helping people pay their energy bills. News Channel 2's Nolan Hyman tells us how and where you can apply.
The Home Energy Assistance Program, or HEAP, helps low-income households pay their heating bill in the winter months. Benefits were supposed to open November 1st, but the government shutdown delayed the program's funding.
We've had more challenges with the federal budget and some of the delays in the funding.
So as of December 1st, they're back open and accepting applications. Eligibility requirements include household size and income.
Like a family of 4, the higher end would be $6,600 a month. That someone would be eligible for some of a benefit.
In the 23-24 HEAP season, they provided less than $8 million on benefits for 19,000 households.
Are you guys expecting more first-time applicants? Or is it kind of...
It wouldn't surprise me given the cost of things, but it's hard to tell. It depends on how the weather is too.
As you can probably tell, it's getting colder, which means that your home is using more energy to stay warm.
As the heating and electric and those type of costs have increased, I think people rely on it.
The program works to make sure people can afford a place to live.
We try to avoid evictions or to avoid if someone comes in with a disconnect. We try to assist them because you don't want people to end up without a residence, homeless. If people are currently on temporary assistance or they're receiving SNAP, there's an auto pay function where those people are automatically given the minimum benefit.
If you need help heating your home, you can visit the Department of Family and Community Services, or you can apply online at mybenefits.newyork.gov. Reporting from Utica, Nolan Hyman, News Channel 2.
2 former mid-state corrections.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're tracking widespread snow for tomorrow morning's commute. Things look pretty slippery in the morning, but they do get better later in the day. A live look in downtown Utica. The roads are dry this evening. We did have a couple of flurries earlier today, but if you're trying to get out and about, maybe doing some shopping and going out to eat, things are looking quiet. It's a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. We'll stay dry here throughout tonight. Utica's snowfall total after getting clobbered on Friday, getting almost a foot of lake effect snow. It puts us to 18.9 inches on the season. We are running a double-digit departure above average, over 10 inches of snow. We also have more snowfall so far this season than Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester, and Binghamton. So again, at least for now, it is a long season, and we'll see how that trends. Skywatchers checking in the 20s. Clinton, Bob, 25. Barneveld, 24 degrees. Old Forge, 20. Mohawk, Jeff, 25. And Westford with 24. A lot of places will drop into the teens tonight with clouds on the way. When we look at the bigger picture, low pressure is going to cut across the country and become a nor'easter as it makes its way to the Atlantic coast. This is not going to be the typical nor'easter, the one that produces a lot of snow here in central New York because of its track. It moves pretty quickly across our region, and by the time it really gets going, it's going to be well to our east. Different story for New England, though. As we look at our impact on travel, it's going to be most impacted tomorrow morning. Widespread snow. There will be slippery spots, actually a lot of slippery spots in the morning. By the afternoon, things do get better as the snow slows down. Just a few flurries here in the evening time. It should be a lot easier to get around. If you have any flexibility in your schedule tomorrow and you want to avoid driving in the snow later in the day, would be a lot better. Storm Tracker 2 Skycast, cloudy skies overnight. Snow breaks out between about 3 to 4 a.m. And we're looking at widespread snow throughout the whole morning commute. Temperatures will be in the mid-20s. Snowfall rates will get as high as about an inch per hour. By the afternoon time, the snow is heading to the east, and it's mostly done by about 2 to 3 o'clock. A couple of flurries linger into tomorrow night. Temperatures will drop down into the 20s. It's quiet on Wednesday and dry. Temperatures will climb into the low 30s. 2 to 5 inches of accumulation is expected for most areas. North of the Mohawk Valley, 5 to 8 inches expected. And again, this falls over about a 12-hour period of time from the very early morning to the early afternoon. Tonight, snow develops late, low of 19. Tomorrow, looking at widespread snow, especially in the morning, a high of 30. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. We're also watching Thursday. An Arctic front arrives. This could potentially bring us a burst of snow, maybe snow squalls, just the way that the setup is. Very windy and very cold, and you're looking at an overnight low that could be below zero for the first time heading into Thursday night.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Still to come on News
with Jason Palace.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to get to those stories in a moment. First, when you wake up, snow, and it could make for some tricky travel for the morning commute. Let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis for the latest track on all of it. What's the latest data, Bill?
It looks like we're probably going to come in on the higher end here. Thinking that the morning commute is going to be pretty slippery, and we're probably going to get closer to 5 inches across most of central New York as opposed to 2. Still thinking 5 to 8 inches possible along some of the higher terrain north of the Mohawk Valley. And the bottom line is you can expect the morning commute to be pretty dicey. We're expecting a lot of this to arrive well before daybreak. And again, we're looking at dry conditions for now. It's cold outside. We're already down to 20. It feels like 20 with winds being calm. Dew point's 15. Heading into tonight, we're going to track some snow. That looks to begin again between about 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. So if you're trying to get ahead of this, it's going to be pretty tough to do. I think this is going to be most impacted by the morning commute. By the time the evening comes around, things will start to slow down. And again, it looks like we'll be dealing with this throughout the day tomorrow. We're also tracking some much colder weather to follow, especially later this week. I have a look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. The New Hartford Spartans high school hockey team is
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Good evening. We're taking a live look in downtown Utica, and it's a pretty quiet night. We've gotten just a couple of flurries today. It's been a very quiet afternoon, and this is going to look very different tomorrow, especially in the morning with widespread snow on the way. For now, things stay quiet. We're watching to the west, and we're just waiting for this weather system to arrive. I think the start time is going to be overnight. 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning, and this will likely put us over 20 inches of snow in the season. Really shouldn't be a problem to get there. We're at 18.9 for the city of Utica. We are already well above average, about double our average at this point. And there's no sign of this slowing down anytime soon. We are certainly in this very active and cold weather pattern, and it definitely looks like winter settling in. Even earlier than usual, even though it is December, this is still pretty early to get this consistent level of cold and snow. Rome, 20 degrees. How about Saranac Lake? A whopping 1. Might go below 0, just depends on when the clouds arrive, because we are tracking some clouds working in from the west. And this is where we find an area of low pressure that's going to zip across the country and move off the Atlantic into the Atlantic Ocean and become a nor'easter. By the time it really gets its act together, it's going to be to our east. We will still get widespread snow, but it's not going to be the blockbuster level of snow that we're often used to with these types of storms. And again, a lot of it has to do with the storm track. Again, just kind of zipping by. It does impact our weather in a great way tomorrow morning. I think the morning commutes can be pretty tough. Thinking 1 inch per hour snowfall rates at times, which is enough where the plows will have a hard time keeping up and the roads will be snow covered. So budget that into your morning drive. I think the afternoon looks better. The snow won't completely end, but the worst of it will. I think we'll get some flurries well into the afternoon and evening, but again, very different story by the evening commute. Tonight, the snow arrives again overnight, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. It's widespread and it's steady. If you're trying to get a head start, try to beat this snow, you got to get up really early to do that. Better off just waiting until later in the day if you have any flexibility with your plans. It's widespread snow, 8 o'clock in the morning. The snow continues into the afternoon. After 1 o'clock, the snow zips to the east, and you get a couple of lingering flurries, but for the most part, things quiet down. Temperatures climb to near 30. Tomorrow night, again, looking at dry weather heading into Wednesday. We're still thinking a general 2 to 5 inches of accumulation region-wide, although I think we're going to end up on the higher side, just based on some of the newest updates. 5 to 8 inches possible north of the Mohawk Valley. Snow develops late tonight, 19 tomorrow, 30 widespread snow, especially in the morning. We've got cold weather on the way. I'm highlighting Thursday here. We've got an Arctic front, wind. We'll go from 29 to 5 below 0. Friday, 23, light snow, Saturday and Sunday.
And we remind folks that it is not the meteorologist's job to close schools. That is the superintendent's job. So you present the weather, they make the decision. That's how things go.
I would like it to stay that way.
It will always stay that way. All right, thank you, Bill. And with the more snow on the way, you're asked to be careful when you're shoveling. The American Heart Association reminds us about the risks. Moving snow can put extra stress on your heart, especially if you're not used to this regular exercise. And if you have known or suspected heart disease or risk factors, get someone else to do the shoveling for you. Ideally, you're going to want to push the snow like that, not lift it. And if you're able to help the elderly neighbors in this area that need help this winter season, call 50 Forward Mohawk Valley. Their number's on your screen, 315-235-2029. Volunteers are needed to shovel walkways, sidewalks, and stairs. Up next, decorating like Clark Griswold this year?
News with Jason Palace.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to get to all those stories in just a moment. First, though, when you wake up, snow, and it could make for some tricky travel for that morning commute. Let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis with the latest track. You just got new data in, and it says...
We're holding the course here. I think
Good.
we're going to end up closer to 4 to 5 inches region-wide. There will be a few more inches along hilltop locations. But I think this map is going to look fairly uniform just based on some of the newest numbers that I'm seeing here. And really, it doesn't change anything here with the forecast. Everything's still moving in the morning. The morning commute is still expected to be problematic, and this is going to come to an end in the afternoon. It should cut out pretty quickly. That's one thing we've been noticing, is that the start time of this has been shifted earlier with the storm moving faster. As we look at the bigger picture, snow is rapidly approaching. We're starting to see the very early parts of it working into western New York. And that's going to be here again overnight, and this is going to be, the start time is probably about 3, 4 a.m. 21 degrees, clear skies, and it's going to be cold. We're looking at temperatures in the teens tonight, and again, widespread snow is expected tomorrow. We're tracking that and another round of snow and cold to follow later this week. A look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. New tonight, the New Hartford Spartans high school hockey team.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're taking a live look in downtown Utica. Pretty quiet tonight. It's cold out there. A lot of places dropped into the teens, and we're going to hold steady tonight with clouds on the way. And we can look to the west. We can see the leading edge of snow just starting to work into western New York. It's a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. And that snow is going to be arriving locally overnight. For many of us, it's about 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning, and the morning commute is looking snowy. Utica's season snowfall total to date, 18.9 inches. I think we'll easily go over 20 after tomorrow, maybe into the mid-20s, just depending on how long this snow lingers. We are already 10 inches above average, and we're going to continue to see more and more snow. It actually looks like a very snowy pattern ahead in general, just getting into a very active jet stream. But again, we're going to take things one at a time. Again, cold night out there. Look at Saranac, 2 degrees. Again, clouds are moving in from the west, so that's going to keep a cap on falling temperatures. And again, the snow becomes widespread tomorrow. This is a fast-moving storm. It's going to zip across the rest of the country, move into the Atlantic, become a nor'easter, and it's going to rapidly develop. But when it's doing that, it's going to be moving to the east. So we're not going to get the same brunt of the storm like we would in a typical nor'easter. It's going to put a cap on how much snow is going to fall locally. We still get snowfall. The morning commute looks pretty tough. Could be talking about snowfall rates close to 1 inch per hour. But by the afternoon, this thing moves out pretty quickly, and we think that things are going to be generally quiet later in the day. A couple of flurries linger around, but by far the worst of it is in the morning. Snow becomes widespread. This is the scene at 5 o'clock in the morning, so if you're trying to beat this, it's going to be pretty hard to do that. The snow will be steadiest throughout the morning commute. Even into the late morning to early afternoon, it's snowing at a very steady clip. Snow cuts out pretty quickly in the afternoon. A couple of flurries linger around. We're dry as we head into Wednesday. I'm thinking 2 to 5 inches of accumulation. We haven't made any changes to the snowfall map, but I'm leaning towards the higher end of more likely 5 than 2 for most of the area, most of central New York. And still thinking 5 to 8 inches is possible along hilltop locations, especially north of the Mohawk Valley. Snow develops late tonight, down to 19. Tomorrow, snow, especially in the morning, 30. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Wednesday's dry. We have to watch Thursday. There's an Arctic front expected to arrive in the morning that could produce a burst of snow, possible snow squalls, much colder weather to follow. Could see the first below zero night of the season Thursday night. Cold Friday, more light snow chances over the weekend.
All right, just be prepared for tomorrow morning.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Bill. And with more snow on the way, you got to be careful shoveling. The American Heart Association reminding us about the risks. Moving snow can put extra stress on your heart, especially if you're not used to regular exercise. And if you have known or suspected heart disease or risk factors, just ask someone to do the shoveling for you. Ideally, you want to push the snow, do not lift the snow. That little guy's got it right. And if you're able to help your elderly neighbors this season with shoveling, call 50 Forward Mohawk Valley. The number's 315-235-2029. Volunteers are needed to shovel walkways, sidewalks, and stairs. Up next, decorating like Clark